this is a last-minute replacement for Trevin Jones. And before we even talk about this, Trevin Jones has got the short end of the stick, man, for his last couple of fights. I have some notes here that says that this is the third opponent change since the original booking against Tony Kelly for Trevin Jones back on 7/24 of this year. Just last month, not a big deal. However, Trevin Jones has noted, he's like, bro, I've made weight 3 times. Like, I've been on weight 3 times, like, in the past month. He's like, this is fucking terrible. I hate this. I've never been more disciplined. I've never kept my weight this low before. And the man just wants to fight. This is a dude who his people flew out from Guam over here to see the man fight, misses weight, so the fight gets scrapped, and then another opponent has to withdraw. And here we are, man. So we got Trevin, 5-star Jones. He opens up as a minus 135 favorite against the plus 115 underdog in Saidyokub Kakhramonov. It's a mouthful. Definitely is. But this is a Uzbekistanian fighter, one of 2. I think Adashev is the other Uzbekistanian that we got on the UFC roster. But we got a killer right here from Guam and Trevin Jones, AJ. Just tell me, before we break down this fight, what does it mean to you, the grit, the tenacity of Trevin Jones to say, I don't care who you put in front of me. Give me a body. I'm going to destroy them, and I'm going to move on to chase my dreams. I don't want to participate. I want to take over. Shout out Conor McGregor. Give me your thoughts on that one off the bat.
I'm sorry, Derek. Say that again, man. You cut out a little bit. I didn't get the full question.
No problem. I said, tell me about the grit, the tenacity of Trevin Jones, what you like about that. He says, I'm not here to just participate. I'm here to take over, put a body in front of me, and I'm going to get them out of there. It doesn't matter. Give me 5 opponent changes. It does not matter. Tell me what you think about that. To me, that's impressive. That's not just a dude who's a businessman. That is a dude who's really coming to be a fighter. Tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, Derek, we were talking about it in the last show, how this is either, entertainment or an absolute war. And I love the fact that Trevin Jones is gritty with it, my man. And it speaks levels. You go watch his fight against Timur Lukivayev. Homeboy, he was almost out of there, man. Timur was hitting him with some hard shots, these crazy shots out of nowhere. Trevin Jones, he curled up a little bit. He was getting punched to the body. If you've ever felt a body shot, you know how much it hurts, man. And he pressed right through it, literally almost got finished, was on the brink of it, but said, nah, fuck that. I'm going to come back and I'm going to work this dude. I'm going to hit him hard with a mean front uppercut or whatever it was. I think it was a check hook. Either way, man, Trevin Jones is one of the most gritty people. He got his start in the UFC by taking a short notice fight against Timur Lukivayev. Like, who does that? What kind of insane animal wants to fight this dude? Who, Timur Vayev, man, we just saw him a couple weeks ago, just absolutely putting on a show. So, the fact that Trevin Jones has that grit and that tenacity, that real fighter mentality going forward, I absolutely love it in this fight going forward. I almost, before I started looking into Saidyokub, I was feeling a little bad for him, man. I was like, damn, they're really feeding this dude to the wolves out here. But, he can stand up too. So it's going to be a fun fight going forward, man. But you do got to watch out for Trevin Jones, man. Homeboy is mean in the cage.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just the raspy voice the man got, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's here to take over, man. And that's a little bit of, we'll talk about it in a second, maybe after this matchup. But Khabib had some thoughts recently. He's been talking a lot more, doing podcasts and stuff. And he was talking about the difference between fighters and businessmen. And I want to comment on that earlier. So hopefully I remember. If not, please remind me. If you don't remember, oh well, we'll get to it some other time. Now let's talk about the actual matchup. Trevin Jones, man, this dude is nice on the feet. Very, very technical. And I think that's going to play a large part into his favor because Saidyokub, even though this dude he's legit. Don't get me wrong, man. This dude is 8-2 in his MMA career. He has a speed disadvantage at 135 pounds, man. But he has a big overhand right and a big roundhouse kick that will knock anybody's lights out. And so he had this fight against Umar Nurmagomedov in the PFL, right? It was his lone PFL performance. And I haven't been able to find too much tape on Kakhramonov, but I will say that he stood toe-to-toe with Umar Nurmagomedov, man. It was by no means a clinic for Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov was just a little more efficient, a little more, he was able to touch up on Kakhramonov just a little more than Kakhramonov was able to do to Nurmagomedov. However, look at all these mouthfuls of words, right? But however, I'll say Kakhramonov, he had a lot more activity, a lot more volume. The man could throw, and he's not going to get tired. So if this fight stays on the feet, which I'm not sure if this one will, I think Trevin Jones might try to take it to the ground to just, use the advantages that he has. He is an MMA fighter, not just a stand-up fighter. I think on the feet, it could be interesting because Jones, man, he's got a very balanced approach. And like I said, Kakhramonov is trying to take your head off. So you always have to be careful in a matchup like this, right? Because when you got the dude who's got the power, it only takes one, man. And in the 135-pound division, you do got a couple of hard hitters there. I will say, man, do you prefer in this day and age, AJ? Like, I just feel like you have some fighters who have these kind of outdated styles of fighting, and not disrespectful in any way or any usage of that phrase. But I mean, when you go old school MMA is, I'm going to leap in with big hooks. I'm going to throw big overhand rights. I'm not really going to set shots up. I'm going to hit you with calf kicks. Or I guess calf kicks aren't old, but I'm going to hit you with like a kick to your thigh, and I'm not going to set it up. I'm just going to throw it out there. Do you think that stuff works today in 2021? And do you think that approach from Kakhramonov will work against Trevin Jones in any capacity? Give me your thoughts.
I don't think overall blanket statement. No, I don't think it works anymore, man. You really got to be masking your shots. You really got to be feinting in. And that's why we've seen like the success of like Sugar Show or something like that. He throws so many feints and so many big bombs that he hits you with stuff that you're not really coming. Although against Saidyokub, I definitely think it could work a little bit, man, because he's and when I was watching Trevin Jones, he really reminds me of a younger T Wood, you know, really kind of patient, wait on the back foot, wait for things to start coming, and then just drive in, blitz in with these heavy bombs. Whereas Saidyokub, man, he can easily catch Trevin Jones with like a head kick or something wild, something that's not masked, because you're going to think of like, oh, you know, I see it coming, no biggie, and then it's something different. He has a very tricky question mark kick that he can throw up and around, so it's going to be interesting. This is one of those fights where I do think the styles make the fight like always, but going forward, I definitely think that old school style is going to add a little bit towards Trevin Jones, where, like I said, he likes to wait for the counter strike to come in, man. He really plays that patient game, but he can absolutely bomb. And he's a righty that fights southpaw, so you know that jab's going to hurt every single time he lands it, man.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you, man. I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see because Trevin Jones, very patient, like you did say. But I think that, so the power advantage is for Kakhramonov, clearly. I think he has a very clear power advantage. Speed and precision goes to Jones, and I think that Jones isn't really a power puncher, man. I think that he just has perfect accuracy. Like, he hits you on the button. And we saw that in his last fight against Mario Batista, right? Where Batista, he's chasing him. He's coming forward. You know, he's doing the do. Jones, he just hits him with that perfect one. Not a lot of output. So that's the thing that worries me here is that Kakhramonov, man, just made it to the UFC. Come on, this is a big deal for your guy. And now he's coming in probably saying, like, if this is my championship fight, getting here into the UFC, I don't know if that's what he's saying, but I would imagine that's probably what the thought process is. He's just going to say, I'm going to throw and throw and throw and throw. And that is the one spot where I can see Trevin Jones falling behind is a volume, you know, type-based fight. So if Kakhramonov says, I'm just going to throw more than you, we'll see what happens. He didn't win his fight against Nurmagomedov when he took that approach, but it's still a good approach to take. However, we will say in his last two fights, man, he does have knockout victories in the first round and second round both, and he has a win over Askar, the dude who was in the UFC for like 0.2 seconds, you feel me? Got relegated back to the regional scene. This dude, though, I do have to say, Kakhramonov is young, man. He's only 25. Trevin Jones is a little bit older, 31. And if we're talking about overall records, 13-6 is Trevin Jones. Kakhramonov is 8-2. 6 finishes out of those 8 wins for Kakhramonov. Only 7 finishes out of the 13 wins for Trevin Jones. The biggest thing that Trevin Jones did make a note of, though, that I have to say is important, because if you don't know this, then it does change the way that you look at these fighters. Trevin Jones has lost 5 fights via split decision. Is that not crazy?
That's wild, man. Yeah, I mean, that's a rough one, because in any split decision, you think you won the fight. Like, if it's that close, you're thinking, like, I got this. 5, that's rough.
Yeah, so he even said it. He was like, I'm really 19-1. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm not 13-6. I'm 19-1. People see those 6 losses and think I'm a scrub or whatever. I think that, so at the end of the day, I don't have any striking stats for Kakhramonov. I just know that he's a big power puncher. Trevin Jones is a little bit sharper on the feet, and I think that's going to lend into my decision. So I think Trevin Jones gets the job done via decision. Kakhramonov is by no means some easy outing. He's only been finished once in his career out of 10 fights, which is pretty impressive. But Trevin Jones is just a little sharper, a little more technical on the feet, and I think he'll be able to exploit Kakhramonov when he's throwing those big overhand shots and the big kicks and whatnot. Who wins this fight and why, AJ?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think the style of that Kakhramonov is going to come play in where he's going to be a little nervous, man. It's your UFC debut, and I do think he's going to take the tact like he did against Umar Nurmagomedov, where he was just constantly throwing shots. But that's actually very dangerous when you're fighting a dude like Trevin Jones with the precision and the accuracy he has, and he carries in his hands, man. It's going to be a hard one, especially when you're just winging shots left and right, and he's able to exploit those holes coming in. I think it's going to be Trevin Jones with the KO early. I'm giving it like a round 1 finish. I definitely think he's going to be a very fun fight going forward. We're going to see some crazy shit. We're going to see a lot of attack coming from Kakhramonov, whereas we're going to see Trevin Jones be able to hit that power. He does. I would agree with you, Derek. Kakhramonov does have the power advantage, but I think the power is really transitioned. When Kakhramonov is coming in, man, if Trevin Jones is able to hit you with one of those little a check hook or a right uppercut, something where your power and your force is actually propelling your body forward, and he catches you with that, that's where we're going to see. I think we're going to see the KO going forward. Like I said, Trevin Jones, KO round 1, brother. I think it's going to be a fun fight.
That was a very, very good assessment of what can go down. I will say Kakhramonov, that is the one downfall. When you know you're going to come forward, they know that they could just hit you with the boop, get right out the way. And Kakhramonov doesn't fight that great off of his back foot either. So coming forward is probably going to be the game plan. Let's move on to the